Alright guys, so I just got done with my Sculpt workout, which is from my FitBody app, and it is a gym-based workout. And this is a follow along, so I'm doing all the reps with you in real time and listen to my form tips and cues. And so this is what the structure is going to be like. I'm also going to put this on the video when we're actually doing the workout, but just a heads up, there's going to be, I actually didn't film the workout. Sorry, that's the only thing I didn't film. I'll put that right here for you so you can do that. Or if you want to do a different warm-up, that's cool too. The point of the warm-up is to activate and engage your glutes and get them ready for the glute workout that is to follow. So you are going to be doing one warm-up of your choice, or the one that I put right here. There are gonna be 3 supersets, and you repeat each superset 4 times before moving on to the next superset. And there's going to be a burnout that you repeat 1 time. And a burnout is where you do as many reps as you possibly can until you can't do any more. So there's no rep recommendation. It is just literally as many as you can. And when you think that you are done, do 2 more. The muscle group focus for this workout is going to be on glutes and hamstrings. If you're following the FitBody app, there are 2 lower body days. On Monday, it's quads and glutes, and then Thursday is hamstrings and glutes. So obviously your glutes are gonna be the primary muscle group for a lot of these moves, but I put hamstring focus moves in there because obviously you need to work your hamstrings, but also because even if the move also has quads as a secondary muscle group, just like hamstrings, I really want you to focus on engaging your hamstrings. So on quads and glute days, I really want you to focus on engaging your quads as much as possible. On hamstring and glute days, I want you to focus on your hamstrings. And like I said, for a lot of these moves, there are very few moves where hamstrings are the primary muscle group. Same with quads. A lot of the times your glutes are gonna be the main muscle group taking over. There's some exceptions. There's definitely some very quad focused moves and hamstrings, but there are very few. So just keep in mind that when you are focusing on these, even if you feel your quads burning, which you're absolutely going to, just also really focus on getting that hamstring burn as well. So, all right, if you have any questions, just pop those down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I just hit my chin when I did that. And have a great workout. So the first move that we're going to be doing is a barbell glute bridge. And a lot of you girls ask how to set up your glute bridge, how to get the barbell up onto your hips without it hurting, or if it's too heavy to lift, etc. So this is exactly what you want to do. You want to get 2 platforms that you're going to place underneath the weight plates so that the barbell can just roll right over your legs. And just one quick note, as you are lifting the barbell or the weight plates, be sure that you are lifting things with proper form. So you don't only need to be conscious of proper form in your actual workouts and the exercises themselves, but also in setting up. You don't want to be bending over with a rounded back. So always squat down to pick things up to protect your lower back. So all right, so now that you are all set up, you can roll that barbell right over your legs, and it makes it super easy to get the barbell right up on your hips where it needs to be. And then you're just going to lift yourself up onto the bench behind you, and so begin the glute bridges. So proper form for glute bridges, you want to be sure that your legs are placed so that they're at a 90-degree angle when you are at the peak of the glute bridge. You want to be pushing through each your heels and your toes. And perhaps one of the most important form tips with glute bridges is that you want to have a posterior pelvic tilt. Now that means, if you want to visualize it, you tilt your pelvis in towards your rib cage. And that is going to allow you to super engage your glutes instead of engaging your lower back, which unfortunately a lot of people do in this move, which is a big no-no. So now moving on to the second move of Superset 1, we are going to do staggered stance stiff leg deadlifts. So very similar to a stiff leg deadlift with dumbbells, except you are putting all of your weight as much as possible on that front foot, and that back foot is just really there to help you stabilize. So as you do this move, really important to hinge those hips back. So you do not want to just be bending your back over. You want to be pushing your booty to the wall behind you, and that is going to be the key to engaging your glutes and your hamstrings. Now this is one of those moves that while your glutes are absolutely going to be recruiting and activating, you want to really be pulling up through your hamstring. So that is the main muscle group that you want to focus on engaging in this move. And I'm showing you both front and side form for each leg, so that you can kind of get an idea of how flat my back is, how much I'm hinging my hips back, and also how I am dropping the dumbbells. So the other really important thing with pretty much all deadlifts is you want to drop the weight, whether it's a dumbbell or a barbell, you want to drop the weight right in front of your shins. If you're letting it travel too far forward, that is where you're going to get back pain with doing deadlifts, because the weight is dropping so far forward to where you are now using your back and you don't have that center of gravity anymore, so you're no longer able to use your posterior chain to pull you through this move. So be sure that you keep those weights close to your shins and really squeeze your glutes and your hamstrings as you come up from each rep. So now we are done with Superset 1. You're gonna repeat that 3 more times for a total of 4 sets. And here I'm just showing you that I'm just gonna do a conventional deadlift to move the barbell out of the way to kind of get set up for the next move. And just really, I want to point out that you always want to use proper form when you are moving weight, whether it's, getting set up or taking things apart. So now on to Superset 2, and this is going to be a single leg glute bridge with a dumbbell. And you do not want to underestimate this move. It seriously lights the booty on fire, and obviously what makes it so difficult is that you're doing it only on one leg. So you're entirely using one glute and one hamstring to power you through the move, which is a really great way to really help those booty gains. But the really important thing that you want to keep in mind here is to not let your hips wobble or rock back and forth. You really want them to be completely level, and that is so hard when you're doing it on one leg. So if you need to slow down to really get that form down, definitely do it, because if you're powering through and you're wobbling all over the place, then you're not even engaging the right muscles. So this is definitely about quality over quantity or speed. And another thing to keep in mind, if you have hip flexor issues, you can raise the leg that's up in the air to a 90-degree angle like I am. If you don't have hip flexor issues, then you can just extend it straight out. Or regardless of hip flexor issues or not, just do whichever one is the most comfortable, helps you balance the most, and helps you feel that glute, hammy, and overall booty burn. One thing I really want to encourage you girls to do is to modify. So if at any point, let's say for example, during the single leg glute bridge, you are just like, I cannot do this, it's too hard, I feel like my hip flexors are really mad at me during this move, modify it. The first step to modifying is just to take one step down. So in this case, stay on the bench, just remove the weight. But if at any point that still is like, oh, this is still a little bit too much, then move to the ground. I find that it's easier to have more stability on the ground, so it might make this move a little bit easier. And then as you go through the weeks and you get stronger, then you can try the weighted version on the platform again. So definitely do not ever hesitate to modify if you need. There's nothing wrong with that. I modify all the time. And so these are 2 great options to modify if the single leg glute bridge just is not working for you right now. So this is move 2 of Superset 2. I'm going to show you this move from straight on and from the side, so you can just see my overall body positioning, my back angle. You don't want to arch your back in this move. You want to have a flat back. And I'm also going to show you this move with resistance bands. So what I'm doing here is a weighted fire hydrant. And you normally do this on the ground, but I decided to do it on the bench just because of my wrists. I find it's a little bit easier to hold on to the bench. So typically this would be on the ground. Your hands would be placed directly underneath your shoulders. So that's another form tip that is really important with both fire hydrants and donkey kicks. And here in the fire hydrant, all you're doing is keeping your body as stable as possible and just raising that leg up as high as you can. But to be honest, it's not important that you raise your leg up to be parallel to the ground. So you don't need to force it. You just need to raise it as high as you can, depending on what your mobility allows, and for you to be able to be feeling it in your glute medius. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Just raise it as high as you can. Don't feel like you need to force it. When you force it, what happens is, you can see here, is I'm kind of almost bringing my knee closer to my shoulder, and that's not really necessary. You actually only want to just raise it directly up. You don't want to be kind of like crunching it into your body. So that is something that I noticed that I was doing here. So as a result, I decided to switch to resistance bands. So this is another really great way to get a great booty burn without using weights. The other thing that I really want you to pay attention to is how much I'm sinking in to that opposite glute. So the leg that is the knee that is on the ground, or that is on the bench in this case. Do you see how I'm really kind of going beyond the alignment of my body? You don't want to do that. You do want to try to keep your upper body as stable as possible. You're gonna sink into the opposite hip a little bit, and that's normal, but you definitely want to minimize it. All right, superset 3, we are on to the last superset, and move number 1 is a cable pull through. Now this is going to be another move that we are really trying to target those hamstrings, and you're gonna get some glute work out of this as well. So when you do this, it is all about the hip hinge, as most hamstring moves are. And so what you wanna do is really focus on driving the move from your hips, pushing your booty back to the wall behind you, and then you are going to bring the cable or the rope that you're holding back up through your legs and really squeeze your glutes and those hamstrings. So some things that I want you to focus on in this move is actually leaning forward, because the weight is going to be pulling you back. So it is going to be hard to stay balanced and not be pulled back. You could probably see as I was doing this, I was getting pulled back a little bit. So I had to readjust and shift even more forward. You don't want to be on your tippy toes. Definitely not. Still have your weight in both your heels and your toes, but definitely lean forward just a tad. Now, the second move in superset 3, you are almost done. This is a sumo squat with a toe raise. I'm starting off doing this weighted. I did eventually drop the weights, so I recommend starting weighted and then dropping them rather than just starting non-weighted to begin with. You really want to challenge yourself and then modify when you need. So for this move, you are going to have a wider stance than normal since it is a sumo squat, but I want you to experiment with the different angles of your toes. So I did start with them just kind of at a normal sumo squat angle, but then as I went through and I did more reps, I angled my toes out even more, and I found that I felt it even more in my inner thighs. So the only thing that is super important with any squat that you do is just not to let your knees cave inward. So no matter the angle of your feet, just keep pushing those knees out. Letting your knees cave inward is one of the quickest ways to have knee trouble, knee issues, knee injuries, etc. So keep those knees out, raise up at the peak of that sumo squat, and squeeze your inner thighs and your glutes. All right, you are on the home stretch. This is your burnout set. So in a burnout set, you want to do as many reps as you can. And as I mentioned earlier, when you think that you can't do any more, do 2 more. I promise your mind gives up way quicker than your body does. So really, really push your body out of its comfort zone. And the first burnout move is a snap squat. And then the second burnout move is a single leg glute bridge with a hold. So just like a normal single leg glute bridge, just hold it at the peak for about 3 seconds. Really contract those hamstrings. I want you to focus on pulling, almost pulling in your heels, like trying to drag the ground towards your bottom, so to speak. That's really going to help you super focus on your hamstring engagement. And that is about it. I hope you crush this workout. If you have any questions, pop those in the comments below. If you liked it, let me know so I know to keep doing these videos for you girls. And I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you girls next time.